whichever religion they're in. I think omuntu yenna okutegeera obulungi eddiini alina n'okugitegeera mu lulimi lwe. It's very important. Kyova olaba nga ba Israelites oba ba Jewish people bamanyi eddiini mu lulimi lwabwe ne mu luzungu. The Arabs bamanyi eddiini mu lulimi lwabwe Oluwarabu ne mu luzungu. Actually Abarabu bo kyekimu n'aba Jewish, they actually recite all that in their languages. The Quran is in Arabic, the Torah is in Hebrew. Neffe tutuuka mu nnimi zaffe zino twagala kusoma Bible za luzungu. Kitegeera jangu mu lugaffe tumanye biki ebigenda mu maaso. Kitegeera how does one's language help them succeed in a foreign language, in a foreign country, right? How does it help ground you? How does language help ground you? These are seemingly simple questions, but very important ones to interrogate. And with that in mind, I want to introduce my colleague and the leader of the Uganda Boston Diaspora, Uganda Boston Community Association, Uganda Boston Community
Diaspora. Hello.
Nice to see you, Afande Momo, aka, Maureen Kalemba, aka Afande Momo. So again, this is episode number 2. I know you are very busy. We were supposed to start at 5, but of course you're dealing with a funeral service and stuff like that. That's what leadership is. Sometimes you have to postpone certain things because there are certain urgent things that need to be completed. Glad to see you here. Why don't you introduce yourself so that people know who you are? Of course, I know who you are, but we have people who have been waiting for you for over an hour. Tell them who you are and why you are slightly late.
Okay, I'm very sorry for being late. Let me first apologize for that. And I am saying that my name's Maureen Asimwe Kalemba, also known as Afande Momo, the chairperson, Uganda Boston Community Association. I am late because of different things that I have to do. And even in the office right now where I'm seated, I have some visitors for you, Mr. Sally. And these visitors have to just come tell you a brief about Kabaka Foundation because they've also come to the office to introduce themselves. So I had to be more late because I had to accommodate them before I can accommodate you. So those visitors are with me. We have the president of Kabaka Foundation. We have the president of Gwanga Muje. We have the secretary for the Kabaka Foundation. The Kabaka Foundation is going to take place May 19th at Waverly Oak. So I would love them to come and say a word before we go into depth in our program. If that is not something that is out of your norm, Mr. Sally, I'm just humbly requesting.
Well, we are here to talk about diaspora leaders, so I don't see how it would be out of the norm. Obviously, different leaders, there are different levels of leaders, and we appreciate the collaboration that you guys have. So by all means, please, bawaka zindalo beyogereko nga bali wa Kabaka Foundation katuswitchinge tuddemuko mu Luga Fest katonao. Yeah, happy to receive them.
Okay. I don't know.
Naye ngeri gy'oli ku gundi singa obadde tolina gundi eyo background eyo bandibadde balabika bulungi. You can remove the background if you want. You are muted. You are muted. You are muted. We don't hear you. Afande Mama, I think you are going to have to remove the background.
Okay, it's fine.
What you can do is you can momentarily remove the background.
Okay, Let me go.
Because if you do remove the background, everyone will be seen clearly.
All right. Remove
so-
background. Where is it?
Yeah, so go to settings.
Settings, virtual background. None.
Yeah.
There
There
we
you go. Yeah, there we go. Now we are able to see all of you.
Ina president wa Wagwanga mujje uyo
Right.
yasusewo owekitiibwa. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Tusanyusa okulaba nnyabo.
Nange nsanyusa obbasanga ssebo.
Webale kutwegattako, webale kugenda kubuza ku Nantebe wa UBCA. Kiki ekigenda mu maaso ne Kabaka Foundation? Mpulira Kabaka Foundation buli wamu Toronto tumuwulira, omwe muwulira, Minnesota namuwulidde, Chicago namuwulidde. Kiki ekigenda mu maaso ku Kabaka Foundation? What's going on with Kabaka Foundation?
Ssebo, okusooka okweyanjula, erinnya lyange nze Nansasi Rebecca, omukyala yeddira emmamba nga nze pulezidenti wa ggwanga mujje. Vice President wa Kabaka Foundation ndi naye era ajja kunnyonnyola ebikwatagana ku Kabaka Foundation okusinga nze, naye nze nnyimiriddewo nga tukwataganira wamu naye okutambuza emirimu gya Ssaabasajja Kabaka. Nawe naavaawo ajja kuba atuula akunnyonnyole bulungi. Ese era ngenda kantwala omukisa guno mukwanjulire akunnyonnyole ebibuuzo byajja kuba biddamu bulungi okusinga nze.
Tweyanza nnyo nnyabo, tweyanza.
Nsanyusa okubalaba n'okubawuliza ssebo.
Nava okukulabako nnyabo. Ssebo tusansa okulaba ssebo.
Wamu nange ssebo.
Mwebale kutwegattako. Sunday egamba etya? Mbawulira mutegeka Kabaka Foundation. Kiki ekigenda mu maaso? Biki omuntu bitegekedde abantu? Of course ogenda tubuulira amannya go. Ndowooza buli omu ojja tubuulirayo n'ensonga lwaki mu meetings Nantebe wa Boston na biki bye mugenda okukolagana naye okulaba nti mutambuza Kabaka Foundation etambule bulungi. Omulangira tumanya ajja kubeera abeegattako, Omulangira Jjunju. Ebizigadde byonna ojja byogera kambikole kaneme byogera nga tonnabyogera. So weeyanjula.
Amannya gange nze James Ssentongo, nga olunaku engeri gye lutambuddemu tubadde mu kkanisa, oluvannyuma ne tujja okwegatta mu ofiisi wano okusinkana pulezidenti owa UBCA, nga twagala okwogera ku nsonga ya Kabaka Foundation ekutta omuliro bwe nnyinza okugamba, kubanga tufulumizza communications nnyingi ku yo, era n'okutandika okwogera ku mikutu guno kye kimu ku byo ekyokutambuza kaweefube ow'okulaba nti ensonga eno buli omu emutuukako, kabeere wa mukwano oba kabeere wa Luganda. Kati Kabaka Foundation kibiina ekya Kabaka kye yatandikawo ye ng'omuntu ku lunaku olw'amazaalibwa ge, era kyakamala emyaka 2. Ekyakimutandisaawo nti yalaba obwetaavu bw'abantu be ab'omu Buganda, nga ebyetaavu bingi. Waliwo abatalina mwasirizi, kwegamba obuyambi ng'era bw'omanyi tuli eno mu nsi z'ebweru, naye eriyo abalina obwetaavu bangi. Eriyo systems ezitera okuyamba abalina obwetaavu, naye Uganda bw'otoba na bwetaavu osigala wekka bw'otyo. Kati Kabaka kyamukakatako okulaba nti atandikawo Kabaka Foundation asobole okulaba nti akuŋŋaanya obuyambi obusobola okuyamba abantu be mu Buganda, ababeera mu Buganda. Era Kabaka n'aba nti yalonda ba Board of Trustees abatudde ku kitebe e Mengo okuba nti batambuza Kabaka Foundation. Ye n'asigala nga ye chairman w'ekitongole kino. Kati nze Ssentongo ayogera, Kabaka yasiimye mu bbanga eriyisaawo okunnonda oba okutulonda nze ne bakulembeze bannange nga yagenda nga mubamanya, okubeera nti tumukiikirira ku sayidi eno ng'akola amatabi agagaziya okulaba nti akuŋŋaanya ensimbi okusobola okuwanirira ekibiina kya Kabaka Foundation. Nga kye tulina okujjukira nti ekibiina kino kya bwannakyewa, si bizinensi nti erina ssente gy'ekola, okumirira kwakyo kusinziira kuffe abantu ba subjects ba Kabaka okulaba nti ensawo eyo tugiwanirira esobole okulabirira abantu be. Engeri gye balabirirwamu erimu okubayamba mu byobulimi, eriyo bayamba mu byobulamu, eriyo bayamba mu kubajja mu bwavu n'okubawa emirimu egy'engalo. Era ekyo bakikoze nnyo kubanga eriyo n'eddwaliro sitting on top of the head, naye ng'eddwaliro eryo yeringa center bakolera okuyamba abantu okubagema ebirwadde ebitali bya ngeri zimu naddala ekigamo hepatitis, obulwadde bw'ekiwumba n'ebirwadde ebirala bisobola okujjanjaba oba okugemwa nga bakozesa ekifo ekyo. Then nebaayo ne vocational schools ezo nga zirimu okuyigiriza ebyemikono, abaana bagenda okuvaayo nga basobola okutunga, basobola okukanika emmotoka, basobola okukola oba okweyaringa enju, kwegamba emirimu egyo egy'engalo gibeere nga gisobola okubayimirizaawo. Bye bimu ebigendererwa by'ekibiina kino, ng'era wenjogerera nti Kabaka mu kusiima kwe amatabi agenda atondawo mangi, nga agamu gabaddewo nga gatandika dda, amalala yagatandika ate n'obaawo ebiseera bya COVID ne bigalangatanamu ne kiba nti gabadde teganakolera bulungi. Kakati COVID bwe tumukubye amabega kwe kuba nti azze Kabaka okulaba nti azuukusa amatabi gano. Era omugenyi omukulu gwe tusuubira ye mutabani wa Kabaka Crispin Kyunju Kiwewa, nga agenda kuba nti atutongoza okubeera nti tukulembera ekibiina kino ekya Kabaka Foundation. Omukolo gugenda kubeera Waltham ku Waverley Oaks 2015 Waverley Oaks. Gugenda okubeera ku lw'Essande nga 19 Ogwokutaano. Tetukyaweza mwezi. Kaakati ng'olunaku olwo lwe tujja okutuuzibwa ku ntebe, nga naye okuyingira kujja kuba kwa kusasulira, kubanga era bwe mumanyi Kabaka Foundation nga bwe tutandika obutanzi twandigamye n'okugamba nti mujje nga muleesereza okusonda, naye kabatulabe batwanjuleyo, oluvannyuma community tujja kgenda nga tuzingaginga okulaba nti tusakirira ensawo ya Kabaka Foundation. Okuyingira abakulu $120 buli mutwe, then be bakulu, then myaka 17 okutuuka ku 23 abo $8, then myaka 11 okutuuka 16 $5, n'okukka wansi w'emyaka egyo bajja kuyingirira bwereere. Tukubiriza abavubuka bajje, abazadde abalina abaana basobole obamatiza okujja. Si kyangu kunnyonnyola buwombu na bugga ku Kabaka Foundation kati, naye mu buli ngeri bwe bajja wali bajja kwongera okunnyikira ekigambo kino ekya Kabaka Foundation. Kituyambe okutuyamba nti gye tunaaba tugenda mu maaso tujja kuba twongera okinnyonnyola, buli omu akinnyonnyoke bulungi. Ekizze kusigalawo ekijja kuvaawo, era tujja kubanga buli kiseera oba tukyalira omukulu ono mu ofiisi okulaba nti twogera ku programs ezijja okusobola okutambuza Kabaka Foundation nga ziva mu donations eziva mu community zaffe. Faibaine ebweru mu diaspora tukola kinene nnyo okuwanirira entegeka efaanana bweti, kubanga ffe at least tulinako we tuli. Era nsuubira y'ensonga lwaki Kingdom ekyali nywevu nnyo okuba nti abali eno tusobola okuba naffe tuyambako okukwataganya ku nsonga ya Kabaka Foundation.
Tweyanze nnyo, tweyanze muzzukulu wa Mugema, omwami Ssentongo, amanya nze simanyi watege nze kati obeera mukulu wange, nsanyusa okusanga, mwebale okubeera nga
tegeeza ndabika omukadde mbadde ngama nze mutowo sebo.
Buli wankima yenna gwe nsanga ogusooka abeera baaba wange.
Sebo awo nkuleegedde sebo.
Buli wenna gwe nsanga kinoomu oba oyagala buli olina abakulu babiri, buli omu bw'oba oyagala abeereko kyayogera ayogere yeyanjule. 19 si wala nnyo, akalango kakubye bakawulidde, bajje n'ez'okusasula okuyingira, naye ate bajjemu n'endala ez'okusonda.
Empozi kyemangamba tebajja kujja na za kusasula ezo tuzeetaaga tebanajja, kubanga kijja tuyambako mu byembalirira.
Okatereezezaamu
ate n'ez'okusonda era tewajja kuba kusonda okujjako ng'oli azze era n'aba nti azitukwasa, tetujja kussaawo foramu nti oba yakusonda, naye ng'okukoosa oli bw'ajja ng'alina kyatuleetedde okusonda kuba entandikwa y'obweto bweri tujja kuba tukyaniriza.
Tuwulidde bulungi nnyo sewo toyanza nnyo toyanza egenda wulidde ab'e Toronto bategeka ogenda okugaba omusaayi bakunze abantu okugenda okugaba omusaayi ekintu ekyo namwe mugenda kikola ewammwe mugenda kukunga abantu baje bagaba omusaayi
ewaffe tetugenda kukikola kubanga okugaba omusaayi ab'e Toronto oba awo balina omusaayi mungi naye okay kyenyinza okugamba nti entegeka kwegamba kati focus tugitadde kuba nti batutongoza naye nga ebyo byonna programs ezo zonna zijja genda kujja. In fact bagenze ffe ab'e Boston tutuukirira abamu nga ab'e Toronto bayinza okuba bo baatandika dda kwegamba nga babaddewo nga babadde active. Kati ffe entandikwa ez'okuzuukusa ekibiina eri ku ffe ne tuba nti technicalities oba logistics ez'okutegeka ab'omusaayi ziyinza okuba zanditubeeredde enzibu naye tatuwagira ekyo kye baliko era naffe oba oliawo gye bujjako tujja kikoppa mu kiseera nga kituuse ssebo.
Weewaawo naffe no tutandika butandisi guno gwe gusooka bagenda kulaunchinga kati omulangira bw'ave waffe ajja wammwe kubanga waffe ayonga Toronto
oliwe Canada
bw'ava wano ajjaawo
kubanga
wanagenda kubeerawo nga 11 May
okay
kati olumaliriza bw'ati agirinnya atajja abeereko awo e Boston awo waliwo abalangira bangi nnyo omulangira Basamula mutumiddeko n'abalangira abalala bonna abaana b'engoma abatudde awo e Boston mwebale kubalabirira n'okubeera nti mwongera mu maaso okuzimba Obuganda.
Amiina ssebo.
Weewaawo ssebo oyagala bakulu bano babeereko kye boogera oba nedda?
Okujjako okweyanjula nze amanyi yanze Bulega
ajjaatule wano si bwe guli ssebo naye alina ye muwandiisi waffe naye byawandiika alina okubyogererako. Ssebo weebale nnyo weebaleke.
Nsanyusa okulaba muganda wange ssebo muzzukulu wa Muge.
Okay. Ssebo mwami Sali nsanyusa okulaba ssebo.
Nange okusanga mwami Bulega ssebo.
N'omukisa guno okubaako nange okuwayako naawe nze amanya nga bwe nze Bulega Peter Bwakabaka ndooza ndi muko baffe tugaba Najjinda.
Tusenso okulaba.
Naye nange Omutanda yanjuna nansiima muweereze era ndi mwetegefu okumuweereza. Ekigambo kino tutandise okinnyikiro kitegeera obulungi tweyama okuweereza.
Weewaawo ssebo.
Ndowooza kyekyo.
Tweyanze nnyo tweyanzeege mwebale kutegeka nante bajja kwongera obbakubira akalango bwema mulina graphics muyinza ozimuwa nazo ku shows eziddawo tujja kwongera okulaga graphics ezo abantu bongere okuziraba okutegeera ddala Kabaka Foundation Boston chapter launch eriyo ddi sente mmeka ebisale beetaaga bimeka tulabe engeri gye tukungamu communities zaffe kulaba nti zijjumbira emirimu gino egy'okwekulaakulanya ate era n'egyokubeererawo baganda baffe abali e Uganda.
Webala obuweereza obusabo.
Weewaawo ssebo.
Kale mbasiibudde bannange nze kaneyongeyo ne programu yange beebale nnyo kujja basibu ne kale
Nantebe ng'oli busy.
I am busy but for good cause, you know.
For good cause. Zabadde nkusuubira kuba ku church nga simanyi nti ate oli kati
navuddeyo nenzijanga n'Abakabaka Foundation banninze.
Ompulira bulungi? Okay.
Ali kuwulira bulungi badde stuck somewhere naye ali kuwulira bulungi so gyebale ssebo gy'okozeeko. I'm happy to be here again.
All right, thank you so much for coming back. You last week, this is the second episode, of course, for Voices Abroad. Last week, you started on the conversation, unwrapping your vision for the Boston community and encouraging people to get involved and take charge of your vision. Vision nkusaba oyongera elaborate on your vision for the people's for the Ugandan community in Boston and how you intend to implement it.
The vision is to unite. Unification is what we are. Everybody who prophesies the flag of Uganda, religion and tribe, clan, anything that can come up as you are the person, the flag bearer of Uganda. This is the flag that we look for in everything that we do.
Right.
So we ask every Ugandan that come and subscribe to this organization. You automatically by default belong. However, the organization cannot live without resources, and resources are got through subscription fees or membership fees. So, Banafe, our Bakola, the registered members are the ones that are the decision makers. Ujakunsonyiwa ndi mulwadde wa Chiego. So that is it. So they are the people who are registered voters. They call the shots.
Yeah.
So baberanga beba tambuza ekibiina kino wherever he has to go. Ekibiina kino ekyatuteesaawo kulaba nti no all the Ugandans wherever we are wano mu Massachusetts state twemanya.
Right.
We are trying as much as possible to help each other in the transitioning world. In the world, it is a transitioning world. So, what to do. So, mental health is for real. So,
Yeah.
transitioning, sorry, if you're transitioning and then you meet a snub, the only way to go through it is to get into community, network with the community, to know how can I get a job, how can I get a house or where to live, how can I go into education, how may I go from one job which is low paying to a higher paying job, what skills should I use to overcome anything that is in my way,
Right.
what church to go to, where is my tribe? Because now tribes have all opened up associations. So
Yeah.
we are finding that every tribe has where it has to prophesy. And so when our people come in, we go like, oh, you're from which tribe? Baganda. Where did I something, you know? And then we say, okay, Abakamba, this is their WhatsApp group. So go in there and network in there. You're going to get somebody to help you out.
Which I think is actually very important because identity is very important and we cannot,
very important.
Even when we think that we don't need those groupings, I think they are very important because they ground us. They ground us in who we are. They also guide our identity, even when it becomes an hyphenated identity. When I say hyphenated identity, Bojamu America ofuka Ugandan American, American Ugandan. But within that hyphenation, Ugandan American, you're also a Muganda or I'm Chiga or I'm Nyankole or I'm Nyoro, I'm Toro, I'm Soga. I think identity is very important because it grounds us. It grounds us. Ensonga lwaki tukola ebintu nga Luga Fest. Toronto, kwogera ku nnimi Banyankole kweterana, Banyakigezi.
Now we want to start the Banyachitara. I'm looking forward to that one. The Banyachitara, which goes for the whole Western region.
Right.
So like how you have the Buganda Bumu covering everybody in Buganda. We want to have the Banyachitara, so that Western region. And then the Acholi and Luo also, Iteso have the one that encompasses all of them. That way, when we want to have decentralized leadership, whereby we can say, hey, when something has happened to the Banyachitara, they just come to inform us. Hey, this is what is going on. This is our day. Can you register us for that day? And then the community, we all look forward to go support that, that entity to make sure that what they're doing we are all in support. We do not want individualism. We are trying to back. Okay, yeah, we're in an economy where it is capitalistic, I must say.
Yeah.
So all of the things that we are doing are capitalistic. But for us, where we hail from, we are more communal.
Indeed. Yeah.
We are into the social arena. So the communal and socialism that we have, we cannot forget them, because that brings out the Ubuntu in us. So if we are going to do the Ubuntu in us, because you can't live, no man is an island. We can't live without each other. So we are going to create those structures, or we're going to enhance those structures. We're going to work with those structures to make sure that we bring out the communal way of upbringing that we started with when we were growing up. We found that those ways our parents used, and which the Kabaka Foundation has just been talking about here, are the ways that have made us who we are. They brought out our identities. They brought out the bonds, that somebody will see you were talking to Mr. Sentongo, you all hail from the same tribe.
Yeah,
so,
same tribe, same clan.
Same clan. So you're already brothers right there. He can't just look at you as just a Sally. Somewhere he was like, oh, I have my brother Sally in Toronto. I need to reach out immediately. You're now tied together. So that bond that we are building, that network, that teamwork, that socialism, will bring us to development. Where we're aiming at is economic development. But we want to go as a team or as structures, not as individuals, because we have found that the Chinese all go as a team.
Right.
Indians go as a team. The Jews are as a team. But for us, we want to go as individuals. That is affecting us. One individual is not going to make it, even though the ones who have made it in the American world, they have a team, a whole lot of team behind them. Right. So we have found that we also have to do the same as our communities. So hence these community organizations, hence this leadership that you're seeing, hence the vision, because the vision is all about development, but we can't develop individually. We have to develop as a team and push ourselves to greater heights.
That's absolutely important. And the way you have framed it, I think, makes a lot of sense. And I hope our community members can actually pick up some of the case that you have laid to understand how communities succeed, especially communities in the diaspora, especially African communities in the diaspora. You cited the Chinese and the Indians, but also within the African communities. I think some of the people I've seen succeeding are Somalis.
Yes.
Somalis who come together, and they have succeeded. They're taking over different entities within the US, within Canada, within the diaspora fraternity, pretty much. Another community that is very organized is the Kenyan community. It tends to be very organized. They have empowered themselves. And that's because they come together. The Nigerians tend to come together. I think this is one element that the Ugandan community needs to work upon, because we have a lot of talent. We have very many talented people who can add value to their respective communities. But value is only impactful when it comes in a bulk. Right? Mutuwanga tuli wamu nga tuli banji buli omu n'aleeta amagezi ago tugateekako community Boston. Community kikula mangu ate n'okutegeera bategeera bannayuganda be bakoze kino ekintu. Tell us more about the land that you're trying to purchase. How are the procedure? What's the procedure right now? Because you have talked about membership and why it's important for people to actually subscribe, right? So for these people who have subscribed, first of all, how many subscribers do you have right now? And how are you going to, because these are stakeholders now, how are you going to manage ownership of land if you actually end up buying that land?
Okay. We are praying we're going to buy this land, and we are really into a lot of talks with a lot of organizations. Which organizations would I say are our home organizations here in Massachusetts, the ones that belong to Ugandans? We started off with land for everybody to have a pie, a piece of a pie, you know?
Right, right.
And we said that we want 5,000 people with only $500. And that makes the 2.5. And we would be done with the land. We were welcomed, I must say, in the beginning. And then afterwards, everybody started saying they want their own share and they want to know how I'm going to cut off a piece or a plot for each and every individual. And to me, I was like, oh my God, we are back to the Ugandan styles.
I know.
Yeah, we are, you know, we are not thinking about us as a whole. Still, we are in that individualistic capacity. Saying,
Right.
me, I need my small plot and I'll be able to construct whatever is in that land.
For $500?
$500, where would you get such a land? It's not there. But for you, you want the community to get land and then give you that part. So we found that it was very, very worrisome. So we said, we're going to give them time, those who want to be part of history, because we are making history. Regardless, if we get a communal land, we're going to have a monument of everybody who has contributed to this land, or who has made it possible to happen. You see how you have the monument for Ground Zero, where people are written, or you've gone to Washington, D.C., and you've seen the soldiers who died in World War. So that is how we're going to make our monument on that Ugandan Little Kampala land, or Greater Kampala, whatever we end up calling it.
Right.
So we say that anybody who wants to donate to the community to own land, come up. That was met with a lot of resistance because everybody had imfunirawa. So now,
Boston, I think Boston has about over 20,000 Ugandans. You need only 5,000 Ugandans.
Only 5,000. You know, and the 5,000, even we may put it down to 2,000, because if the 5,000 are doing so well, they may say, me, I have $1,000, you know, dollars, and that is it. It is as simple as that, but people do not look at it that simply. The land is there, it's 16 acres.
Yeah.
I was saying that everybody would bring in and we would make a monument for ourselves, but that was met with resistance. So this is where now we've turned the corner. This year, we have people who are organizations.
Yeah.
The organizations, we just need only 10 organizations.
Right.
And they're going to bring 25,000. Okay. And then with that, we are able to
when you say organizations, you mean organizations such as Kabaka Foundation, if they're established?
Kabaka Foundation, Buganda Bumu, ICOB, they're going to come, and we will put them as organizations that help into this dream. However, when we are done purchasing our land, because it will be Uganda Boston Community, because Uganda Boston Community is made of those organizations.
So each organization will have an office in that.
Each organization will have an office on the land. They will say what they need on their land. But for us, we would have a connotation or a condition saying, can you make whatever you're going to make on this land for communal, as in affordable housing, so that if we have people who are struggling in housing, we can have it there, affordable housing. We want a daycare center, because we have already mothers, young mothers who are struggling in that area. We want a gym, the likes of Afande Momo to go slim down and do things, in a better way. Then we want also to have the religious centers, the cathedrals, the mosques, the Pentecostal churches. So each one wants something in there. But we want a football field so that we can play our soccer without being chased out. We can have our soccer tournaments, a swimming pool, a reservoir, when we can just sit a park, because there's a wetland on through that area. We can formulate it as a park, and we just have our, small gatherings there in the summer. So
Yeah,
all these things
I think 16 acres is a sizable land. You can also put a hall there, and you can actually
okay.
rent it to other communities. Like there's a lot you can do with 16 acres of land.
Yes. So we need our community hall. It's the most important thing that we need.
Yeah.
And this community hall has to have our offices, our museum, and then things and a library, things where our culture literature is going to be found, and people pay in to go in to see Washington, D.C., They go
Right.
into JFK libraries, they go into museums, Museum of Art and everything, they pay into that. So we want also to have that so that we can create revenue for the community, and we stop looking at other sources, which we are discussing the other night, that we go on to look at sources which wouldn't even fund us, but because we're limited in resources, we accept those sources to fund us for the time being until we can be able to be independently thriving. So that is done through our need for that land. So that is our developmental land or business land, or I call it productive land. Then we have the land which is agriculture. We want to formulate our agricultural land. We are working with the Kenyan community. Kenyan community already tapped into this secret of agriculture. And I got the secret or the vision from the people in Michigan. The Michigan community has that already. So I want to establish that, and in May, I'm going to work with the World Farmers Association, which is owned by a Kenyan lady. She's called Henrietta. So this Kenyan lady has already gotten in touch with me. We were able to look at some land to purchase, but as you see, our resources are limited. We couldn't purchase. We don't have the grants yet. We are in the grant world looking for that. So the Kenyan lady gave us 1 year.
To think about it,
on her land, and making all the sample soils and what can work into our land. And then the next year she'll be able to lease to us some land. And then before you know it, if we lease and then we are ready to own, she'll be able to cut off something for us and give to us. And then we start from there. So I look at that way. That's how she does to all communities. She starts nurturing you. She tells you what can work for you. She tells you to sell. You're able to see the proceeds come out. And then afterwards, you are able to own. And she can let you know on the owning process. So when we are looking for agricultural land, we met a white guy. He's called Brian. And then that Brian is on who recommended us to the Kenyan lady. Said, you guys don't go in straight. You may hit a snag, but if you at all you go in through this route, you may be able to be sustainable. So that is how we were able to identify that for the agriculture sector. The last land we are looking for is the cemetery. We all gonna die. And we want to have a Ugandan cemetery here in Massachusetts. Like we said, our population is big. We may be counting 25, but we are over 30,000 here. So we are saying if we are already that big, most of the time, half of those population may not be able to take back people home. So we are saying if they're not able to take them back, we have to be able to be ready to have our cemetery ready, and people can be able to take their loved ones there, and we're able to check on them. So that like in May, we are always having Memorial Weekend. On Memorial Weekend, we are able to go as a community or as, individuals and place, some wreaths on our loved ones and check on them and really pay our respects. So we want those people to have to us, and that is our community development project in 10 years to come, or the 10-year plan that we have.
These are ambitious visions. As you are trying to let us know what's going, by the way, you are revealing a lot of information that I'm not sure if it's a good thing to reveal everything that is detailed like that, and your sources as well. But I think you have a very ambitious vision, which is very admirable. I have a question that just came into across my mind right now. You are not just a leader in the Boston community, you have been a leader in North America. As a former speaker of the Uganda North American Association, have you thought about having conversations with the current leadership in UNA to see if there would be any avenues of collaboration to get some of these things done?
Yeah, the person who is supposed to be like in charge of us is actually the vice president, and the vice president hails in my community, His Excellency, Mr. Charles Bukenya Muvawala.
Right.
Mr. Mvala is on board with our project. But at the same time, that's why I come back and say, maybe we all do not know where to go.
Right.
So
if Mr. Muvawala is the vice president of UNA and in charge of communities, diaspora communities,
yes.
My thinking is that it would be his responsibility to take some of these ideas to the executive, the UNA executive, and let them know the people of Boston are thinking like this. The people of Toronto are thinking like this. The people of California are thinking like this. What are some of the most feasible projects that we can touch? That we can take on to ensure that they are realized either in the first 2 years or 4 years, whichever leadership is there, because this is a 10-year vision that you have, right?
Yes.
Our leadership within UNA, of course, is biannual for a maximum of two terms. So, which means if someone is an executive in UNA for the 2 terms, they are going to govern for 4 years, right? But it doesn't hurt to have these conversations, initiate these conversations, and try to open up some of these avenues, assuming that that we have open communication. I think there is hope that these initiatives can be realized, but you guys need to sit on the table and start having these important discussions. And that's why I wonder if you actually have taken an initiative as the president of the Uganda Boston Association, Uganda Boston Community Association. I think within that responsibility, you also have the mandate of the people. You can use that legitimacy to connect with the executive, of course, in collaboration with the VP UNA, right? But even if he wasn't living in your community, now that you already have him on board, maybe you should write a joint letter with him and write it to send it to the executive of UNA and see how they respond.
I would not want to go that route, because the route we have, I think the president of UNA, the vice president are all on board. And I must say, even the Mr. Secretary and Mr. Treasurer. I haven't yet talked to the secretary yet, but at least the president and the vice president, we've ever had this conversation. And even though it wasn't in depth, but we talk about these hard questions. Because now we are no longer doing events for just the fun of it.
Right.
Even in Boston, whenever I make an event, it has to be a training event. It's a training, and then we can have the fun inside that. Because why we're getting away from that fun? Because after your dressing, after your alcohol, after dancing, then what?
Right.
I hate to come out of an occasion and I say, I haven't learned anything. Right. I don't know why even I went there. I would love to have more knowledge in that conference or that training or that event, and that knowledge is used for the future. So for us.
So you're always looking for impact. How best can you be impactful within all the events that you organize? Impact. How are you impacting your community? What value will
stop right there.
What value will someone get when they come to that event, whichever event that you are organizing?
Yes, and I make sure I have 5 events a year. And all these events, this year we are tackling mental health. Everything you see that we are handling mental health. Last year we were handling development. That's why you heard about all those land and everything. That was so this year we are progressing, but we are progressing with mindset, because if our mindset or our mental health is not right, we can't develop. Period. So we are bringing the development plus our mindset, and maybe next year we will have some results. Who knows? We would be sailing that way, and we may get our first result as we may own the land, or our first result we may have the first produce of agriculture, or our first result we may have our cemetery. So we are saying we are moving with our 10-year long plan with other small projects, which will end up into what we want. Like we have developmental dads coming in June. We are bringing all the men that have made some impact in our community to tell us how they've managed to do that, as dads, as fathers, and how they are helping their women or their wives in this aspect, so that they can develop together as a family, not as individuals. We are trying so much to go away from individualism, because anything in partnership and teamwork builds success. Anything you do alone, you're going to hit a lot of obstacles or a lot of challenges. But here, when you're a team, somehow, somewhere, somebody knows something that is going to take you away from the challenge that you will be going to encounter.
Right.
So I go back to the UNA and say, UNA has to work with us. There's no way, but we need to ask for those grants. I do not know the grant world of UNA. I have not yet asked that hard question. Even when I was in there, they had never applied for a grant. So we tried so much to let them know about the grant world. But for them, they were into the sponsorship and the vending. We want to open up every community organization to start tapping into the grant world, and whosoever gets that grant can teach the communities, other communities, on how to access that grant. Because the grant that is given to me in Massachusetts is going to be different from you in Toronto. It's going to be different in Texas. It's going to be different, but it's still the same grant being given to different communities, or different regions. So we want, as an organization, like as UNA, to come up and tap into the grant world for all communities, the way they give out this CDF grant for communities, which is $2,000, which cannot help no community person except me here. It can help me with the rent. If I take it up, it can help me with rent. Other communities, I don't know where they would put that money. But I'm saying that these grant worlds, if they give you this award of 5,000, 7,000, they help out. Even we can get more. You can even get $500,000. But we are looking at UNA as the head to start doing so, as the communities are doing that. And in that, if we all partner together, when I'm talking about decentralized leadership, remember, even in my community, I'm doing decentralized leadership. We go out, reach these regions, these zones, the cities where other people are, and be able to distribute in the soccer club in there, to distribute into the camps that are taking place in the summers, to distribute into the summer splash, the climbing, trekking, all that should be done in that way. So I'm looking at a lot of things, but my time in office may not even enable me to do that. But I want to leave this office when it's streamlined for the next leader, so that the next leader is able not to go through, I say, a novice way, but to go through a leadership which is now streaming, which is streamlined, when everything he knows to go here, to get our grants, to go here, to liaise with so and so, in order for us to have the community meetings or the community gatherings. They know who the mayor knows, that person, the governor knows us, the senator, those are things I want to hear so that our community is no longer lagging behind. But if they are discussing communities on the table, like we talk about the Nigerian, Kenyan communities and everyone, they're able to talk about our community. So we are knocking on that door so that our name also goes onto the board or where, you know, the top leadership of our country and our community organizations are known there.
Right. I think that's very important that you bring up all that. Of course, I'm going to leave that discretion to you on how that conversation will unfold. The grant world is very important in the diaspora. Of course, many community organizations are using similar mechanisms to maintain their communities, but also to empower people within racialized communities like our community, obviously. We have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
How are you going to use those 5 minutes to tell people what they need to do and how they need to engage in the Boston community to ensure that they add value, but also benefit from the impact that your community organization or association is creating right now? How can Henry Sally, why should I be interested in joining the Boston community, besides everything that you have mentioned, which I think are very important? What you're trying to do right now is to get me to join the
Henry Sally, I would love you to join first because the community makes you feel at home. The first thing when you enter in Boston community, we want you to feel the Ugandanness in you.
Right.
You know, you can't bring in the Bana Uganda Vantama. We want to beat that slogan as much as possible to rest and say, hey, Bana Uganda, I want to belong. That is the first instrumental thing, the fundamental of us coming together. So that we back our flag, we back our oneness with prophesying this. Because we are not going to create another flag. We're not going to create another country. What country we have, however rugged it is, if we say it's rugged, however, you know, other issues we have, everybody has issues. As a country, we have issues, but we prophesy that country. So we want Henry to say that, oh, even though I missed being home, when I entered the Uganda Boston community, I felt home. That is the first one. The second one, we want you, Henry Sally, if you're migrating from Canada to come to Boston community, we don't want you to feel lost. So say, I only know Maureen, and when I found Maureen was taken by the army to Kuwait, and therefore I got lost.
I don't know anyone else.
I don't know anybody else. No. We
Yeah.
want you to network, you know, as much as possible. We would make referral points for you so that we say that Henry, I've left Henry in good hands. I've left Henry with Mr. Secretary Mosh. I've left Henry with Vice President, with the Treasurer, with Madame Rosette, with Mr. Simple. You know, we have all these avenues. Madame Brewer, all these people are there working alongside us in community to uplift each other, you know. So whatever need you have, we would give you all those numbers. We have numbers. We have even hotline numbers now, which we call ourselves hotlines. That if you are bringing substance abuse, I go like, give that hotline to that one. If you bring somebody who is jailed among our communities, we have their hotline to call. If you're bringing advertising, we have a hotline to call. So we see we are decentralizing ourselves already in our leadership, so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm overbearing on Afande Momo. I need to stop calling her because I'm bothering her. No, Afande Momo is going to give you where you belong, and you start from there. You only come back to her if the other person has failed.
Right.
So then the third thing that we want is for you to have the skill. I always ask people, what was your passion when you're growing up? Because that's where we want to place you. When you have passion on what you're doing, you're not going to leave that job. You're going to be in that job forever, and then that you even teach your children. Mine was, and
you are likely to succeed, actually.
Yeah, you're likely to succeed. Mine was never in the military. But along the way, I met somebody who was working with the military, you know, and then I started looking at the military, and from then my channels changed to that side, you know. But I want to say that if you have those skill sets that you need, and we send you to those areas where, let me say, if you need cooking to be a chef,
Right.
culinary, yeah, we're going to send you to those schools that are going to improve on your cooking. We're not sending you that we are paying for you, but we are going to look for grants for you. We're going to ask into those community schools that don't even take school fees, and we advise you don't go into student loan. You may be stuck here and there, but if you use this avenue, you're going to achieve your degree, and as time goes on in the future, you'll be able to go into those other bigger schools that you want. And indeed, these people who start with the community colleges have been able to mushroom up into the universities of their dreams and have achieved, you know, even people who have done certificates. People, certificate people are better. Some of them get better pay than actually the degree holders, the PhD holders. Yet they did a certificate for 6 months. I'm telling you this.
Right.
I've seen it. So we are giving those advices to people.
Yeah.
That don't do Maureen. Do something that is going to be sustainable for you and your family in the long run, and you never look back. So what we are giving you is the knowledge you never had, and knowledge is power. Meaning power is that we are going to give you something fundamental, something long lasting, something that you never look back and say, I wish I never entered that office. But you always look at our office and say, that office gave me the first, you know, landmark in my life. And from then I've propelled and propelled higher, and I am in greater heights because we had an office on the ground that sent us to the right direction. So that is us, Mr. Sally. And I think with that, we would have you enroll in the Community Association.
Of course, you have convinced me. Now you have to tell me what I need to do. Who do I contact? Do you have a website where I go and register? And if you have actually resolved the issues of incorporating non-entity, like offshore registrants, because I'm an offshore registrant. If I become a member, what would that look like? What would that mean for me? In 30 seconds, wrap up that, and also tell us what programming you have. Of course, in regard to next week, we shall be talking more, and you will recommend which community leaders to talk to next Sunday. You can come with them, or they can come by themselves.
Yes,
that we can get to know.
I'm going to start with that last one for the community leaders. I've already recommended the community leader in Minnesota, and he's so looking forward to it. I've recommended the Madam Chairperson Gwanga Muje, who is seated right here,
right,
to talk about it, the Kabaka Foundation Chairperson. So these are all community leaders, and I will recommend more because the dream, when we discuss this dream, I feel like it will, every weekend, if we have somebody to streamline us into community development, we are able to bring in these community chapters, because communities are the best for everything that you're going to work alongside with. So you need the community in order for you to lead at the top. I come back and say we are www.ubca2013.org, www.ubca2013.org. That is our website. Every information you want to know about us is found on that website, www.ubca2013.org. And we also have a Facebook page. In fact, we have 2 Facebook pages. One has all the announcements plus advertisings and everything. The other one has all our events. It's about our events and everything geared and grounded onto UBCA. So we have ubca2013.org with Facebook, and we also have Uganda Boston Community Facebook. So, and then we also trying to, I'm going to open up a Twitter or an X, that's now what we call it, X account, and Instagram account, because we don't have those as yet. I want to open up that so that we can have all the social channels and LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I want it so much so that we can have that employment part, the skill set, the resume writing, all that, the skills, the technology interlinked in that. So as for the people who are out of state or who are, yes, the Minnesota chapter is watching. Thank you, Minnesota. I'm working hand in hand with a lot of communities to teach about community development, so that it's not about only Boston community. We want it officially on every channel, on every community, so that if we all come up and we have one developmental stream, then the UNA leadership on top will find things easier, because our leaders will come from us to go lead the top. We don't know want somebody to lead the top when he's never been a community leader. To me, I find that very wanting, because you're going to be lacking on how to tell your grassroots people. You always be leading from up there, but never touching the ground. So I want a top bottom and bottom up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I come to you who want to be part of us. I've had the people from Nebraska, like I said, people from Toronto, people from Kuwait, people from Saudi Arabia, people from Uganda themselves. But we all say that all of you are going to be our donors. We put you into a donor category, but our donors who are recognized, registered donors, because we know that everybody is going to be, and those donors, they have a say. We may say that we are getting our leadership for 5 years, and the donors influence and say, no, we need a 10-year leadership because we are donating into this for this good cause, and we believe it will do this. So your voice with your write-up and with your donation that you always give, you are able to be listened to. So
influence,
it is another way of looking at membership, but it's because it's Massachusetts, we want to leave it into the Massachusetts area and then donate or be donors from other areas. So we thank you, but we still give you a receipt, and we still honor you, and we still talk about you, and we still, always put you guys first in case we are considering any development in our constituency or in our state.
All right. And with that, of course, you are getting cheers from the Minnesota team.
Yeah.
Thanking you for what you have shared. And I think looking forward to share their own vision as well.
Officially, I just want to officially thank them, the Minnesota team. When they heard about the lady that passed, Minnesota team brought in some condolences to help me repatriate that lady. Just like you, the Canadian team, and also the team in DMV, that is Maryland and Washington, D.C., Virginia area. So those people, those communities have been working hand in hand with me in a lot of areas. So I can't do it alone. I always say I can't be a leader of myself. I also need other leaders so that we can make a good team. Remember, I told you individualism doesn't work. We need to partner, network. So these leaders are coming every time they hear a cry, they come. And also me, when I hear a cry in their communities, I have to go and be able to support and be of good use into that community. So I thank the Minnesota team for helping in the repatriation, the Toronto team, and the DMV area. I cannot help out to thank the Anglican Church, Women Association, Mothers Union, that started the project and springboarded it under the Archdeacon Ezekiel Kafel. So I thank you so much, everybody who put in, All Saints Anglican Church, Whoopi, the ladies who came individually. I thank them because this lady was laid to rest. But I plead to everybody to tell their communities to have people enroll in life insurance so that we cannot have these stigmas again. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. That was Afande Momo, our community leader in Boston. Of course, the vision is broad and it's also bold. You have heard from from her. You have seen what she has done so far and what she intends to do. Her vision is 10-year-old. Are you going to join her? Of course, you're going to be expected to join whenever you have time. Thank you so much for joining us. Next weekend, we have the Minnesota leadership sharing their vision. They will be joining us here live at the State of the Nation. Again, my name is Henry Sally, and we are always delighted to host you. Remember, for those of you who would like to participate in Lugafest, it's happening in June 27th. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Henry Sally.